So this is the third stanza that we people had just discussed, right? And here is the brief summary of this stanza which Anmol had just read. The next morning he goes to the fork point again. Fork point is this middle point. This point where it has diverged into two roads. He goes to that fork point again and finds that both the roads are similar. What he finds that both the roads are looking alike. Why? Because early in the morning, the two roads have not been traveled. Right? Now you see, children, what happens? Just as it happens with us in our life, I have to decide one thing. I have decided, but what happens once I've taken the decision? After that, I'll discuss with so many people. I'll discuss with my parents, I'll discuss with my friends, I will discuss with my colleagues, I'll discuss with my children, I'll discuss with my neighbors, I'll discuss with some expertise, right? And after discussion, again I review my decision. And next day in the morning when I get up, again I change my mind. So what is this? This is dilemma. This is confusion. Right? So this is what the poet says, that he goes to the fork point again in the morning. What he finds कि ये तो दोनों roads एक जैसी हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि morning में तो अभी कोई बाहर निकला नहीं है, कोई चला नहीं है उनके ऊपर. Both have leaves on them and no one has stepped on them as they are still green in color. दोनों grassy हैं, दोनों green दिख रही हैं, because both are covered with leaves, as no one has yet walked on the two roads. He chooses the second road, but he prefers the second road. He goes with the second road and decides to keep the first one for another day. और उसने मन बना लिया कि मुझे फर्स्ट रोड जो है उसको मैं रिजर्व में रख देता हूँ, कभी लाइफ में जरूरत पड़ी तो देखूंगा, लेकिन अभी मैं सेकंड रोड पर ही ट्रेवल करूंगा. ऐसा हम करते हैं, कभी डिसीजन लेते हैं, किसी चीज को हम रिजर्व में रख देते हैं, राइट? ही नोज दैट वन वे लीड्स टू अनदर वे. उसको ये भी मालूम है कि when you walk on one road, it will take you to many other roads, it will take you to many other ways. एक रास्ते पर चलते चलते कितने रास्ते हमें अपने आप मिलते जाते हैं. But he knows he cannot go back to the road not opted by him. And he knows, he is doubtful, he is apprehensive that the road that he had left, he cannot come back on that road. Meaning, he cannot change his decision once made. Once you have made the decision, it is very difficult to change that decision. It is very difficult to get back to what you had thought initially. Similarly, even in our life, once we choose an option, we must keep on moving ahead with that option. एक बार हमने कुछ सोच लिया, decide कर लिया, तो we have not to give up. फिर हमें कुछ doubts और confusion नहीं रखना चाहिए. We should move on. हमें आगे बढ़ना है, आगे बढ़ना है उसी रास्ते पर, उसी ऑप्शन के साथ, that is to get success, that is to reach our destination. And we never get a chance to come back, क्योंकि उस रास्ते पर आधे रास्ते से वापस आना, it's very difficult. And take the other option that we had left earlier. बड़े लोग कहते हैं, जो घर में बड़े लोग होते हैं, वो क्या कहते हैं कि once we have given up in the middle of the road and then we are getting back to where we had started, it would be foolishness of us. So what is wise then? What would be our wisdom? It would be wise that you choose one thing, you face the challenges, you overcome those challenges, the success would automatically be in your favor. मुश्किलें हमें हर काम में आती हैं, चाहे वो कॉमन हो चाहे वो अनकॉमन हो, लेकिन हर जगह हमें मुश्किलों का सामना करना पड़ता है। आपके पेरेंट्स भी आपको बोलते होंगे ना कि मेहनत तो हमें हर हाल में करनी है, isn't it? पढ़ाई करनी है तो मेहनत तो करनी है, मेहनत के बिना तो पढ़ाई नहीं हो सकती, राइट? तो मेहनत तो करनी ही है, तो इसलिए हमें उस मेहनत को करते रहना है, ऑटोमेटिकली हमें उसमें कामयाबी मिलती है। डोंट यू रिमेंबर द सॉन्ग वी शैल ओवरकम, हम होंगे कामयाब, right? When you remember this, you will definitely move on with your choice and you will keep on working hard. I hope it is clear.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Shall I go to the next?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Now, this is the fourth stanza that we are going to discuss. In the fourth stanza, in the last stanza of the poem, what it says, I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. I shall be telling this with a sigh. He says, once I have decided to travel on the second road, now I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Ages and ages hence meaning in future, after some years. He said in future, after some years, I would be telling the people with a sigh. Now with a sigh, it can be with a relief, or if he doesn't have a good experience, he would say sadly also. Sigh meaning to take a deep breath, right? But just as the poet had been very successful while traveling on the second road. Let me remind you, do you remember what was the second road for the poet in his life?
Ma'am, England.
England.
Right, he went to England, right? When he went to England, was he sad or he was happy?
He was sad
Why was he sad?
because because in America he was told.
Let me remind you, when he went to England, he was happy with his decision because in England he got recognition. In England he was recognized, his work was accepted, his work was published, and he became famous in England. Do you remember? Right. And then he turned back to America. So this is what had happened in his life. He got relief. He was delighted. He was happy with the choice of the second road. His going to England was like the second road because the Americans would not go to England for their career or for their livelihood. But Robert Frost had taken this strong decision in his life that he would go to England. And after so many years, when he became famous in England, when he returned to America, he would have told the world what two roads diverged in a wood. Meaning, in my life, there was a situation when I had two roads, meaning two choices, two options. And I took the one less traveled by. Why he repeated I here? I took the one. That is to emphatically tell the people, that is to emphasize on this very fact that he had made the choice for the second road, which was less traveled. He has taken the second decision that was uncommon. He had chosen to go to England, which the Americans would not like. And then he says, and that has made all the difference. Then he would like to tell the world that, see, my second choice had made all the difference. The second choice has made all the difference, meaning the second choice has made me what I am today. Meaning he could become a famous poet because he had traveled on the second route. He had become a famous poet. Why? Because he had opted for an uncommon road, an uncommon choice. But he is happy now because he had become successful. He had become a famous poet. He had become a famous poet when he went to England. So whatever he could achieve in his life, it was all because of his visit to England. So that way, he is not regretting for his second choice. He is happy with the second choice. Is that clear? Right? Made all the difference.
Yes.
He was successful. Right?
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
Ma'am, what is the meaning of opted?
The meaning of opted is to choose. To opt is to choose. Options meaning choices. We have options in our life. We have choices in our life. We have to opt for one. We have to choose one. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Yes, Anmol, please read this.
Okay, ma'am. The poet says that in future he will take a deep breath and say that once upon a time he had reached such a point in life that he had two options, but he chose the less traveled or means an uncommon one. That decision made him what he has become today. Similarly, in future, when you grow up, you would say that you had many choices to make, but the one you chose made your life successful. The poet wants to convey that we should be wise and careful while making choices because your future depends on the choice you make today.
Yes. So this is the message he wanted to give. Why he could become successful? Because he had made a right choice. If he had followed the other fellow Americans, that no, Americans don't go to England, so I should not be going to England, perhaps his work would never have been published. Perhaps he would never have turned out to be a famous poet. Right? So when we make second choice, sometimes there is risk involved. Risk in the form of uncertainty. That risk, that uncertainty is what we have earlier discussed, the challenges in life. We should not be afraid of the challenges. We should accept. We should be ready to take up some risk. And once we move on, the success is definitely in our favor. Right? Here, let me explain to you this now. The poet says that in future, he will take a deep breath. Now he will sigh or he will take a deep breath, meaning will he be sad or he will get relieved? Of course, with a relief. He will tell the world that once upon a time he had reached such a point in life. यानी कि उसकी लाइफ में एक ऐसा सिचुएशन आया जब he had two options. दो options थी उसके पास. But he chose the less traveled or means an uncommon one. But he had chosen the less traveled, the second choice, that is the less traveled one, the uncommon one. जो सभी Americans follow नहीं कर रहे थे. That decision made him what he has become today. That choice where there was complete uncertainty. That has made him what he has become today. See, children, uncertainties are there in with the common choice also. ऐसा नहीं है कि कॉमन रोड पर चलने से सबको सक्सेस मिलती है, ऐसा नहीं होता है. That depends upon one's hard work, one's determination, one's own intellect, and many other factors are there which influence your success. So we cannot solely say that this choice or that choice. And just because of being feared of this thing, or this is uncommon, I doubt that I would get success. Nobody would follow that. I've already given you an example of Kiran Bedi. I've given you an example of the women in the Indian Air Force, in Indian Army. आप कभी वाघा बॉर्डर पर जाइए, आप वहां भी देखेंगे कि बॉर्डर पर the girls are deployed nowadays. The girls from our army, they are deployed. So that is uncommon road for them once upon a time, but not today. Now they have made it very common. Now they have made it like the first road. Similarly, in future, when you grow up, you would say that you had many choices to make, but the one you chose made your life successful. So the poet says, आपके साथ भी ऐसा होगा कि फ्यूचर में कभी आप को ऐसी चॉइस लेनी पड़ती है तो यू आर सक्सेसफुल, एंड देन आप भी अपने आसपास सब लोगों को कहेंगे कि देखो मैंने ये ऑप्शन लिया लेकिन मुझे कामयाबी मिली. द पोएट वांट्स टू कन्वे दैट वी शुड बी वाइज. और ये कह देना कि ये अनकॉमन है इसलिए मैं ये चॉइस लूंगी, नो. You have to do it. You have to make a choice very wisely, very carefully, seeing your future prospects. And careful while making choices because your future depends on the choice you make today. Because your future, that depends on the choice you make. जैसी choice आपकी होगी, उसका impact आपके future की shape वैसी ही होगी. I hope it is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, in the next slide, yes, there are poetic devices involved in the poem, right? First of all, here in the green, you will see the poetic devices. I would like to know, are you familiar with these poetic devices? Have you done these in 8th? आपने alliteration, metaphor, personification ये सब किया है 8th में? Yes, girls?
No, ma'am.
नहीं किया, कोई बात नहीं, मैं आपको बताऊंगी.
Ma'am.
अभी मैं आपको पोएट्री के कंटेक्स्ट में बताती हूँ, राइट? फिर उसके बाद मैं ये जो पोएटिक डिवाइसेस हैं इसकी एक वर्कशीट या नोट्स जो हैं वो मैं आपके साथ शेयर करूंगी. ओके, नाउ लुक एट दिस alliteration. The poetry, this poem has alliteration. अब alliteration क्या है? First you look at these examples. I will explain to you. Here in this line, this is the third line of the second stanza. Okay, because it was grassy and wanted wear. I have underlined wanted wear. What is common in this phrase? इसको मैंने अंडरलाइन किया ना, तो इसमें क्या कॉमन है?
W.
Right, very good. W is common. W is the first letter, the first consonant of two words. In this way, W is repeated in this sentence. In fact, हम was को भी ले सकते हैं. अब आप देखिए, जब मैं बोलूंगी because it was grassy and wanted wear, was wanted wear, W की sound वो same sound है ना इसकी, right? So when in a line there is one particular consonant that is repeated with the same sound, that is called alliteration. और हम उसको अंडरलाइन कर देते हैं. और ये कोई जरूरी नहीं है कि alliteration वाले जो वर्ड्स हैं वो इकट्ठे होंगे. अब was यहाँ पर है लेकिन wanted were यहाँ पर है, but they are in the same line. I hope it is clear, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
The next line now you see, though, that. These two have been underlined. Though, that. Their beginning sound is same or not?
Ma'am, T is
T, yes, that is right. The first consonant is T in both the words, right? And then the sound is also the same. Though, that, the, there. There are 4 such words. Please mute your mic. Please mute your mic. Yes. Right? Though, that, the, there. The sound is there, children. Right? So the same sound is repeated with the same consonant. So this is what? This is alliteration. In the third line, oh, I kept the first for another day. First, for, first sound is repeated. Okay, tell me one thing. आप लोगों ने हिंदी में अलंकार पढ़ा है? हिंदी ग्रामर में अलंकार तो पढ़ा होगा?
yes, ma'am, पढ़ा है.
पढ़ा है. उसमें वो कौन सा अलंकार है जिसमें एक लेटर रिपीट होता है? याद करिए. चारू चंद्र की चंचल किरणें, चांदनी चौक में चांदी का चम्मच. पहचान सकते हैं आप ये कौन सा अलंकार है? इसमें इसको कहते हैं अनुप्रास अलंकार. टीचर ने कराया होगा ना अनुप्रास अलंकार, राइट?
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, जो आप अनुप्रास अलंकार पढ़ते हैं हिंदी में वही alliteration है. Is that clear? Now let's come to the second one, metaphor. अब metaphor और नीचे मैंने दिया है simile. Both of these are the figures of speech, यानी कि अलंकार हैं ये. जिसको आप हिंदी में अलंकार कहते हैं ना, उसको इंग्लिश में figure of speech कहते हैं, right? So both of these are used to express comparison. Simile is a direct comparison, but metaphor is an indirect comparison. अब वो direct comparison कैसे है? जैसे कि for example, I say Sony Idol देखते हैं आप?
What?
सोनी आइडल का प्रोग्राम देखते हैं? सोनी आइडल क्या आता है वो?
Yes, ma'am, Indian Idol.
No, ma'am.
इंडियन आइडल. हाँ, सोनी इंडियन आइडल, राइट? उस सोनी इंडियन आइडल में अगर मैं ये कहूँ कि अरुणिता सिंग्स स्वीटली लाइक लता मंगेशकर, राइट? When I say Arunita sings sweetly like Lata Mangeshkar, then it becomes a simile. Or I say Arunita sings as sweetly as Lata Mangeshkar, then it would become a simile. ये डायरेक्ट कंपैरिजन होता है जब हम like लगाते हैं और as लगाते हैं, राइट? इनडायरेक्ट कंपैरिजन कब होता है? जब मैं कहूंगी अरुणिता इज अनदर लता मंगेशकर. अब अरुणिता लता मंगेशकर तो नहीं बन सकती ना, लेकिन इस सेंटेंस का मतलब क्या है? जब मैं कहती हूँ कि अरुणिता इज अनदर लता मंगेशकर, इसका मतलब यही है कि अरुणिता का कंपैरिजन लता मंगेशकर के साथ हो रहा है कि वो भी उनकी तरह ही स्वीट गाती है. इज दैट क्लियर? तो ये डिफरेंस है दोनों में. अब मेटाफर इसमें क्या है? टू रोड्स डाइवर्ज्ड. These two roads are compared with the choices. जब poet कहते हैं two roads diverged, he means to say we have two choices. अब अगर ये होता two roads are like two choices, तो फिर ये क्या बन जाता?
Like में simile बन जाता.
Right, very good. Then it would have become simile. But अब इसको हम like ना करके हम सीधा कह देते हैं two roads diverged. तो ये metaphor बन जाता है. Is that clear? उसके बाद आप देखिए personification. अब personification का क्या मतलब है? Personification का मतलब होता है कि something which is not human, which is lifeless, but it is presented as human. कोई वो description जो humans के लिए यूज होता है, लेकिन उसको lifeless चीजों के लिए यूज किया जाता है. Right? Just as for example, in the third line it was because it was grassy and wanted wear. A wanted, who wants? I want, you want, humans want. Right? Road wants, we cannot say that road wants. No, no. But road has been presented here as if road is human. It is grassy. Second road is grassy. It wanted wear. Right? So when the poet says it wanted wear, the poet is presenting the road as human, as a person. इसलिए उसको personification कहते हैं. Is that clear? अब देखिए, just as for example, if I say the river water is the leaves are rustling with the wind. Rustling जो है leaves की आवाज होती है. Leaves are rustling with the wind. It's okay. पर अगर मैं ये कहूँ कि leaves are singing with the wind, can the leaves sing?
No, ma'am.
Leaves cannot sing.
No, ma'am.
Yes, who can
No,
sing?
ma'am.
Who can sing? Who can sing? Humans can sing. Is that clear? Humans can sing. So the leaves are personified. Leaves को हम humans की तरह present करते हैं जब हम कहते हैं leaves are singing. Is that clear? जब मैं कहती हूँ कि wind is blowing, ठीक है, wind blow करती है ना? But जब मैं कहती हूँ wind has opened the door, wind cannot open the door, तो ये human action बन जाता है. तो उस समय हम wind को human की तरह present करते हैं, तो wind is personified. So here wanted wear is personification, road is personified here. समझ में आ गया बेटा आपको?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Okay. अब rhyming scheme जो है वो आपके पास rhyming मैं आपको पिछली स्लाइड में ले चलती हूँ और आपको rhyming scheme बताती हूँ कि क्या होती है. ये एक स्टैंजा लिया आपने, इसके हर लाइन का लास्ट वर्ड जो है उसकी साउंड देखेंगे आप. साय, आप मेरे पीछे बोलिए साय.
Sigh.
Hence,
Hence.
I,
I.
by,
By.
difference.
Difference.
अब आपको किन किन की साउंड सेम लग रही है बताइए.
I by.
I by, yes, ma'am.
I by. Sigh, I by. Right? And hence and difference. Right? Sigh,
Difference.
I by. ये एक साउंड है और hence and difference ये अलग साउंड है. Right? तो ये sigh जो है फर्स्ट लाइन में है तो इसको हम कहेंगे A. Right? और hence sigh से डिफरेंट है तो ये B साउंड है. अब I कौन सी साउंड है?
A.
A. और by कौन सी साउंड है?
A.
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 एंड डिफरेंस कौन सी साउंड है?
Ma'am, B.
B. तो अब हमारी राइमिंग स्कीम क्या है इसमें? ए बी ए बी। इज दैट राइट? अब आप एक
Yes,
पीछे,
ma'am.
अब आप स्टैंजा थर्ड में अब आप अपने आप आइडेंटिफाई करेंगे। आप इसमें मुझे बताइए कि राइमिंग स्कीम क्या है। इट्स क्विक।
मैम
Lay, way,
ले
and
ले
black,
ब्लैक डे वे
back.
बैक।
हाँ
तो मैम इसमें ब्लैक बैक
हाँ,
ले डे और वे।
राइट राइट। अब स्कीम दीजिए आप।
मैम ले है ए, डे
Right.
है ए, वे है ए, ब्लैक है बी, बैक है बी।
तो आप कैसे प्रेजेंट करेंगे राइमिंग स्कीम?
A, B,
ले ए
B, A, B.
ए बी
ए
ए।
आकांक्षा दोबारा से बताओ, खाली आप बताएंगे बेटे, बताइए।
ओके मैम। मैम ए बी ए, नहीं मैम यहाँ पर डे, ए बी ए और बी।
Right. Is that clear?
यस
So
मैम, यस मैम।
out the poem, it is going the same rhyming scheme, that is A B. Right? तो ऐसे इसी तरह से हम राइमिंग स्कीम डिसाइड करते हैं, और फिर कोई पोम होगी तो मैं उसमें भी बताऊंगी आपको। ठीक है? अब है रेपिटेशन। रेपिटेशन का मतलब होता है जब कोई फ्रेज रिपीट होती है, एक से ज्यादा बार रिपीट होती है। तो अब अगर पोम में आप देखें, 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, ये लाइन सबसे पहले फर्स्ट लाइन में आई, राइट, फर्स्ट स्टैंजा की फर्स्ट लाइन में, फिर उसके बाद लास्ट स्टैंजा की थर्ड लाइन भी यही है, 2 roads diverged in a wood. Is that clear? So this is repetition. इसी तरह से नेक्स्ट लाइन में आप देखिए, लास्ट स्टैंजा में सेकेंड लाइन में द पोएट सेज समवेयर एजेस एंड एजेस हैंस। एजेस एंड एजेस, ये वर्ड रिपीट हुआ ना एक बार से ज्यादा, इसको कहते हैं रेपिटेशन, राइट। उसके बाद सिमिली, व्हेन द पोएट सेज सेकेंड स्टैंजा की फर्स्ट लाइन में, देन टुक द अदर जस्ट एज फेयर। Just as fair, meaning second road was as good as the first one. अब ये as fair मैंने अभी बताया था ना, like या as आएगा तो क्या होगा, simile होगी। तो ये डायरेक्ट कंपैरिजन हो रहा है, राइट। उसके बाद है सिंबोलिज्म। सिंबोलिज्म होता है कि ये किसको प्रेजेंट करता है। रोड्स, रोड इज सिंबोलिज्म, रोड इज सिंबॉलिक ऑफ चॉइसेस। Yellow woods, they represent or they symbolize the world full of people. Undergrowth stands for uncertainty or challenges. Is that clear? With this, we end today's lesson. And if you have any queries, you can post me, but I will share with you a Google form with MCQs, right? And the poetic devices as well. Now towards the end, in the almost last slide, you will see that these are the factors that determine our choice. हम कोई भी choices life में लेते हैं तो ये सब चीजें हमें affect करती हैं। सबसे पहले हमारा interest, कि हमारा उस चीज में interest है या नहीं। Then parents, whether the parents allow, the parents support, the parents' expectation. Then opportunity, do we get the chance to do that? Then fame, fame meaning success here. Is it going to give me success? Is it going to give me recognition? Then finance, money, can I afford to fulfill that choice? Talent, do I have the skills? Am I capable of doing it? Then friends, friends also tell you many a times about it, right? So whenever in your life you make the choices, remember Robert Frost and decide very carefully. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.